Welcome to Wear Your Cape to Work, a podcast hosted by Project Insight. We believe that project and program managers are the real superheroes of every organization. We want you to hear their stories so you can be inspired to wear your own cape to work. Our guest on today's podcast is Jorge Alzate. He's a certified professional coach right now for ForwardQuest Coaching, and he coaches all sorts of project managers and business leaders. He came up to coaching by way of being a digital program manager at Pepsi. You're going to hear how he started in quality assurance, came up through project management, and landed in a digital program leader role, all as an introvert. In fact, Jorge considers his introverted personality traits as some of his biggest superpowers. Thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast, Jorge. We're very glad to have you with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Trina and Matt. It's a pleasure to be here on your Wear Your Cape to Work podcast. Probably the name of a podcast that I love the most, and I wish that I had thought about it before. So I'm super excited to be on here.
Yeah, we're excited to talk to you about why you're excited, because I know that you have that superpower attitude also in the work that you do in coaching, and we'll probably get to that later. But just for our audience sake, we met Jorge at the PMI Global Summit in Phoenix this year. It was exciting to meet so many project managers. Many of you are listening today, so hello again. And Jorge was there as well, and we heard a little bit about his story and thought, boy, we need to have him as a guest on our podcast. So Jorge, could you do us all a favor and maybe tell us a little bit about how you got started in the world of project management? I know you were in the Army, and then that led into other roles, but how did project management or that Q&A direction kind of hit your career path?
Sure. I got started as an analytical chemist working in the lab at Pepsi my first 2 years. Very introverted friendly role if you want to just keep your head down, do your work, and nobody bothers you. Right? But there was a time, this is project management, where we had the organization that I worked with invited a project manager as a short course to introduce the topic of project management in 2011. And this is like when I went through the short course, it was like they handed me like Spider-Man, he gets bit by the radioactive spider, and he's like, this is it. Oh, this is what I was missing. This is the structure, because I see things in different ways. I see this needs that. This is lacking it. I see how the steps line up here. This is all going on in the brain. And now this person comes in, hey, there's actually a framework, a structure that you can learn.
Wow.
It's a discipline. And I was like, okay, got it. So then it was just a really slow realization. How do I work this in as an analytical chemist into my work, and trying now different roles in research and doing it really on my own. This is how I want to manage my work. I want to do scope. I want to have my resources listed out. I want to have my work breakdown structure. This is just me doing it. Nobody's telling me how to do it. I'm just doing it. But that slowly turned into a dissatisfaction with the way work is being done around me. Mm-hmm. Just me, a natural tendency to wonder. I wonder if you can do this differently. I see inconsistencies over here. I'm noticing this because I'm an introvert, and introverts tend to notice things around them, just question it. So I brought this to the attention of my manager. Like, listen, I don't know if I'm in the right role here.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love for you to help me be a project manager, but I want to stay with you because I love that manager in particular.
Oh, neat.
And she was very much on board with developing me. So her and I kind of swam upriver in this department, because I don't know about anywhere else, but where I was in quality assurance, there was no need to have like a PMO or project managers.
Right.
It's just not part of the structure, how they split out their resources. Mm-hmm. So she put me in charge of projects, and I didn't know what I was doing because I had nobody to advise me or mentor me.
Sure.
But I got certified as a PMP using all that background, and I really noticed that I need to go further in terms of yeah, these are projects here. Yeah, now I have a team. I became a leader. Now they have their projects. Well, how do we coordinate these? How do we run these related projects
Mm,
as a suite of projects? And that's program management.
right.
So
Mm-hmm.
when I realized that I can run my team as a PMO and then run everything as a program because everything is related. So we want to make sure whatever we're doing is running in a coordinated manner so that it realizes the benefits of the organization. That's the definition, right? So that's, I positioned myself as a program manager and I knew what I wanted to do, to the value that I wanted to give to the organization. And I reached out to people that where is the role for me that fits me so that the
Mm,
organization can benefit from what I have to give. Because right now where I'm at, we're kind of hitting the wall here. So I found that role.
the
It
program
appeared,
manager role.
yeah, the
Yeah.
program manager role, which was not in the lab, not in quality assurance. It was the solution services, that bridge between the R&D, the engineers, the scientists, and IT. That 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 role existed. It was a dream role. I realized because yeah, I speak the language of scientists. I speak the language of engineers, and now IT is over here, and they're not really speaking together. They need somebody in the middle that can bridge that gap. So that was where I found the sweet spot of my career.
Yeah, really, I like that a lot. I think, I like your comparison to that superpower, your spidey sense, gets awoken and then you start to kind of see things differently. What, other than the leadership that you had, of course, who was there to encourage you and to say, yes, explore and see what you can do. What other resources were you using at the time? Do you remember to kind of expand what you were doing within the organization?
Yeah, for sure. That was, well, an example would be becoming a leader, like transforming from an individual contributor to a leader, realize that, something was getting in my way and it was myself. And I worked on that through public speaking, through, ERG groups like Toastmasters within the corporation. But, I really, I want to brush up on my leadership. If they're going to give me this team and create a role for me in this team, I want to be trained. I want to get external help. So I reached out to a leadership academy to do a group coaching cohort. It's actually called Coaching for Leaders, and during the pandemic. And it was being around other like-minded professionals, leaders, and then saying, "Hey, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on that." And you meet twice a month. It's like I want to make sure that um, I'm not lagging in what I said I was going to do. So they keep you accountable. So for me, it was about reaching out to people. It was about having conversations with this senior director over here, this other one over there. So ensuring that I am comfortable building relationships, because it's difficult as an introvert to put yourself out there. But once you're in a conversation and once you've gone past the superficial, then that's what I love. I love to have meaningful conversations with people, and that's how I build relationships. And once you're able to get comfortable like that, and you get in front of people interviewing for a role, and you can show that engagement and meaning and enthusiasm, they're going to say, "Oh, this is the one that is going to make an impact."
Yeah,
That's how I.
different than just the certification or different than just the PMP. You can check those boxes, and oftentimes they're requirements, and oftentimes they bring a lot of a knowledge set. But to actually grow some of those soft skills, of leadership, of being able to be articulate, of, speaking, of, connecting the dots for people, mentorship. That's cool.
That's really great. Also, that you're able to kind of do that self-analysis and say, I'm an introvert. Maybe these aren't my strengths, so let me go there and kind of build that repertoire of what I can do and what I can bring to the organization as a whole. That's wonderful. You know, do you, through your time at Pepsi, do you have any, project or initiative that jumps out to you as like your favorite or the most challenging that you may have worked on?
Definitely. When I was in that role as the digital program manager role, it just happened that something was happening in the business, not part of a normal business cycle, but for the organization, it was not normal. It was different. Mergers and acquisitions is a normal part of growing a business, especially when you have a multinational corporation. But you don't normally want to plan for when you're going to divest. You don't buy a $1 billion business and they say, 10 years from now, we're probably going to sell this off. So nobody's planning for that.
Right.
They basically want to, if we're going to acquire this new company, we're going to make sure that we merge, we share resources. That means, we're going to leave something off so we can, by sharing resources, we're going to maximize profit. We're going to cut savings, and so we're going to have cost savings and so forth. So at the time, this is not anything confidential. It's out there in the press. Tropicana was being divested, was being split, sold off to become its own company. So for R&D, where I worked, it was about, well, we've been using the same resources, data, specifications, software for 20 plus years. And now they need to figure out what can be separated, what can be identified as theirs, and then extracted and then handed off to them. And we've got 2 years to do it, and we've never done it before, so there's no plan. We're going to put you in charge.
Holy cow.
The whole R&D organization internationally has their data. So,
wow. So that's why digital, I just need a level set for audience, right? When you're thinking about Pepsi, I'm not really thinking digital. I'm thinking it's pretty physical, it's retail, and then to bring everyone into the loop. Okay, these are digital assets, right? It's all of this information, it's all of this data, whether that has to do with, chemistry, or it has to do with operations, or it has to do with, secret sauce and all the things. This is the digital world that Tropicana is going to depart with, to kind of make that a little bit more summarized. Like, they're leaving and you needed to collect everything that could be theirs and was deemed theirs and packages up. So it's now separate from Pepsi and out the door with Tropicana.
Yeah. And, no one had any idea of what we could see was separate, what was shared, how to segregate it. So that was my role, was to,
how long was that supposed to take?
Yeah.
It was supposed to take 2 years, but then they had milestones, and there was some ambiguity, but there was definitely 2 years. But myself and my leadership, we understood, Parkinson's law.
I'm not familiar with the law. You might have to give our audience a 1-2 about that.
Parkinson's law is the law that the work expands to fit the time allotted.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Of course it does. Of course it does.
You got a term paper. When you're in college, you got a term paper due, and they give you 6 weeks. You know when you're going to do it.
It's going to take 6 weeks. Yeah.
You know when you're going to do that. I do the term paper the night before.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. It's happening on week 5 to 6 to get it in there, right?
Most people. I don't know, man. Maybe Trina,
No, not me. But I did have a daughter, and this is going to not be part of the podcast, but I do have a daughter who would do like book reports on like the second day they were assigned and turn them in to her teacher. And he'd be like, this isn't due for like 5 weeks. She's like, I'm done with it. So you have to take it from me. Yeah, it was wild. Anyhow, well, this is cool. So the Tropicana project was supposed to take 2 years. And how many people were involved that you were managing? What was the scope of that work like?
Oh, it's easy. 0 and 0. So I had 0 team and I had $0.
Wow.
So pretty interesting constraints for this project. It was up to me to figure out, well, how many applications are there? We'll list them out. Who owns these? Who are the product owners? And I quickly realized this is an opportunity for me to use Agile, an Agile approach, which we were being trained at that time. We had an Agile coach, and he was training us, but for software development, so Kanban boards, ADO, all that good stuff. So I said, you know what, that Agile coach, I need some time from him to teach me how to show me how I can use this approach to deliver 34 applications to figure out how are they segregated, are they identified, what's the timeline, having a series of questions, interviewing the product owners the same way to understand, what's the level of separation you have for your data, what's the level of complexity, having all these questions set up. And I said, you know what, I can do this myself, or I can have a team that can help. So advantages of having a multinational corporation is they usually have an internal marketplace where for early career growth. So I posted a position. Hey, this is a once in a lifetime project that you will probably never see in your PepsiCo career.
Right.
Come on in. You know a little bit about that business. You're a business analyst. You're a budding business analyst. You want to grow your skills in a different part of the business. And I got people, I come in. Yeah, I'd love to do this. I have time. So I brought in 2 junior analysts to this project to volunteer on it, and we had a lot of little scrum meetings and our ceremonies, our retrospectives. I built a nice board where we had each app was a card and a Kanban board. So it ran very smoothly. I didn't get to finish the project because my role got shifted, but I was able to hand it off, and it worked very well. I got some accolades from the main project manager, because this is just the R&D part. It was all the other, HR, logistics, supply chain, sales, everything had to be part of that.
Yeah, people think that as you look at organizations, when there's a big project like that coming up, there's somebody above that's going to tell you how to do it,
Yeah.
But the reality, and many of us are out here working, is that sometimes it just lands in your lap. And, a project manager does bring their super skills, whether it's this, that, or the other thing, to really face these challenging projects with no directive necessarily, just this is how much it's supposed to take. This is what the end goal is. You let us know what you're going to apply to this to get it done. And they make a successful project out of that, even so much that you can hand it off to somebody else and not finish it yourself. That happens, if I start a project around our house, I'm certainly not handing it off very easily unless I've been really, plotting to do that. Yeah. So it's pretty impressive to do that in an organization with the magnitude of that project that you had to complete for Tropicana. That's very cool. Want to step away from Pepsi a little bit and scoot on to this whole introvert idea that you've mentioned a few times, because unbeknownst to our audience, you feel that your being an introvert is one of your superpowers. And that might perk up some ears out there, how is being an introvert one of my strengths, one of my super skills? Sometimes the world says, hey, you need to be less of an introvert and more of an extrovert, or, just step out for a minute, go outside of yourself, do something that's outside of your comfort zone. But you're saying this is a super skill that you should maybe grow and develop and recognize how you can bring that to the table. Can you share a little bit about that with our audience?
Sure. The origin story, right? The origin story is I was so comfortable, as I mentioned, working in the lab, but I wanted to grow my career. So I went at a performance review time. I asked my boss, what do I need to do? How much more work do I need to deliver so that I can be put on a path to promotion, be given the high visibility projects? Because you've got people coming in new and they're being put on the path to promotion. They're being put on the high visibility. So complain. And my boss had, took a step back. He was like a low key guy. He said, yeah, I hear you, Jorge, I hear you. But have you ever considered that the reason you're not on a path to promotion is not because those other coworkers are doing more work than you, but it's because of you? So that was an awakening for me. In the moment, I was not happy.
Yeah.
Years when you tell me that, you think it's me, you think it's my fault,
right?
But really, that put me on a path to figure out what was in my way, and I worked on myself to do that. But another thing that my boss said in that meeting was, your technical skills are strong. You cannot get any better. You're reaching out to, you're working with mentors, senior people, and you're learning from them. You're growing technically. It's your people skills that suck.
Interesting. So
And he was
this
right.
leader called you out, right? Okay.
Yeah, he was a slap. He was right. You know, I got along great with people I work with every day. But if there's somebody in the neighboring lab, I was like, you know, I averted my eyes when I walked past them in the hall. I didn't know how to do the small talk.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I did was, let me get work this people skills. How do I get in front of people that I'm not comfortable with? Toastmasters was an organization that company had. And for me, it was already, I am comfortable speaking in public. I have no problem doing that. So that is my entry point into going into Toastmasters, making an impact so that people are drawn to me because of my public speaking ability. And now I can build connections with them, people that I don't work with. So that made me realize that, number one, my introversion has been holding me back, right? My comfort with being in my rich inner world. And number two, I have a superpower that I worked on, which was being intentional, preparing, right?
Yes.
You give me a script, I'm going to learn it, I'm going to memorize it, and I'm going to deliver it because I'm confident in my abilities to learn something, memorize something, and deliver it. I can write my own speech, and I can memorize that, which I did, and I can deliver a 7-minute speech.
Sure.
That was, for me, a superpower that a lot of introverts don't realize they have. People think public speaking is about winging it. It's not.
Oh, right.
Public speaking is, you're given an assignment, you're going to prepare, you should prepare, you should put the work in, you should practice and rehearse. A lot of people don't do that. And then that's where the fear is controlled.
Nice.
I really like that. It's kind of, the understanding that where I want to be, I need to grow these other skill sets. I have these gaps in place, so I'm going to work on those. But in the meantime, let's focus on where my strengths are, right? With those technical components, or the fact that I can sit quietly and put the work in, so that way I, have the ability to execute on what those bigger visions are. That's a really, solid strength, really. I think that's a great superpower. Are there any, other than Toastmasters, are there any like books that you read or anything else that helped you with that? I know you had mentioned some other organizations you were a part of.
In terms of helping me with discovering my introvert.
Yeah, or your, getting out of that introvertedness, right? And kind of getting out of your shell sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to be leading a team, as a new leader, and around you are extroverts that are telling people what to do.
Right.
And that's not going to be I'm not, if I'm telling people what to do, being authoritative, that I realized, I'm reading books, I'm reading about leadership. I'm a subscriber to Harvard Business Review. So I realized that that's only one part of leadership. Is telling people what to do. And you don't always need to, it's not always going to be a crisis. It's not. It really isn't. So being able to reflect and be a facilitative leader, being a coaching manager, listening, asking questions, that's where I dialed into once I had my team. So yeah, the quiet teammate, I was once the quiet teammate. And what happened is you missed out on my ideas, because either you didn't set up a safe psychological space for me to be comfortable speaking, or I didn't use the courage I needed to speak out. So I changed that when I was a leader. Now everyone is going to have a chance to speak. We're going to do a round robin style. I'm not going to be the only one speaking. Everybody's going to have their ideas, because then now you're safe to speak, to share, and now we're going to surface all the wonderful ideas that you have. We're going to build on each other. So yeah, I definitely had to work on making sure that I was comfortable doing that. And it didn't come from me. I learned, I read, I took classes on leadership and understood all the different facets of leadership.
And you were leading from a place of your strengths, right? all the different ways that people can lead, you should lead with your authentic self, with your
Yeah.
personality. So the fact that you were coming to the table and saying, look, I'm maybe an introvert leader, but that makes my team stronger in that I really do have the time for those very rich, close, get to know you relationships and conversations, where someone who is maybe more extroverted and is I just want to tell everybody what to do, that's hard for them maybe to step down and say, I don't really want to hear everyone else's opinion, nor do I have time to listen to their story or hear anything about their personality or their concerns or their enthusiasm for things. Yeah, it might be really something that they struggle with. So that leading from that place of being an introvert is where that strength comes from, right? It came easy to you to build that team and let everyone have a voice and get the better solutions out there, perhaps.
Yeah, and it really you made me think about something also, an introvert superpower. I call it the thoughtful speaker. So introverts, you don't hear, they don't need to be heard. But what you think they're being introvert doesn't mean silent. It means that they're in their rich inner world. A lot is going on beneath the surface. When an introvert finally does say something, it's probably because they thought about it for a long time. So if you know this, you're going to stop and listen. But the natural, because now I'm leading a staff meeting and I am the last one to speak. So naturally now I'm using my strengths because I'm letting other people speak, and now I'm thinking, and now I'm refining what I'm going to say because I'm hearing other people. So that feeds into the natural strength of being a thoughtful speaker and thinking before you speak, and then when you finally do speak, it's something that is going to add the most value.
So as you started advancing at Pepsi and your other roles, were you thinking to yourself, now that I'm learning these things for me, how did you have that spark of, I could coach other people? I feel like I'm a coach. I'm a relationship driver. I'm a teacher. I'm a mentor. How did that come?
Yeah, this is my perspective. My perspective is that being a coaching manager was not expected. It was not, you weren't evaluated on it. It wasn't something the leadership thought was valuable. I did it on my own. I kind of did it on the side in terms of coaching people. It was so apparent that I did it well. When teams changed and people no longer reported to me, they were still reaching out to me. Hey, Jorge, can I have a... So I would meet with people once a month that didn't even report to me anymore for coaching. And one thing even more than that was when I became a new manager, my peers were also new managers. And we would talk about, hey, how do you like being a manager? They would say, I love leading the strategy. I love putting resources against things that need to be done. I love directing all the action. But what I don't like is the people problems. They come to me with their problems. They want to develop a career. Exactly. And I'm thinking, you know what? That's the only thing I want to do.
That stuff.
That's the only thing I care about. The other stuff,
yeah. So, that's great.
I was an outlier.
This is it though. This is where the audience says, aha, we see where this light shines. Just shine that light. If you are an introvert or if you like to dig into the people, there's people that don't, bring the things that you love to really deal with and that you love to address in this, that you see being successful for yourself. It's okay to lean into that part of you. That's very good. Very nice. So now you're doing coaching. Tell us a little bit about how your coaching role has expanded now that you're retired from Pepsi. What do things coaching wise look for you? And are you available for coaching introverts or coaching project managers or the people who are listening today? Who are you coaching?
Well, yeah, and it wasn't like nice and clean. Oh, I can't wait to retire so I can be a coach. No, I still needed the universe to give me that wake-up call. I was applying for program manager jobs, not that there's anything wrong with it. And, I wasn't getting a lot of traction. But I was at a Toastmaster meeting on a panel. I wasn't even giving a speech. I was just answering questions. And there was a guest that came to the meeting, And after the meeting, the guest came up to me and said, you know what? I really love the way you express yourself, your style of speaking. I'm working on some things. I'd be great if we can exchange numbers so I can pick your brain. I'm like, okay. So we met later, and he said, I would love for you to coach me on public speaking, and I'll pay you.
Wow.
He's going to pay me. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, this is the universe giving me a signal that this is the next career.
Right.
that I need
that what you have to offer is valuable. Mm-hmm.
So that same week, I looked up a coaching academy. I enrolled in it. I got certified, and I created my new business. It's called ForwardQuest Coaching. Mm-hmm. As a coach, they teach you to pick a niche of, what you want to do. Do you want to focus on relationships? Do you want to do finance? Do you want to do health and fitness? And I was like, wait a minute. I'm an introvert. Right. I've struggled on my own to I did the DIY of being an individual contributor, being a leader, suffering it took me years to get to.
You just said suffering as an introvert. So we know that you're not suffering now. I can see it. I'm sure our audience can hear it, but I just wanted to call it out that there are people suffering out there thinking that they just have to endure this fabric of how corporate work goes, and it's not set for introverted people. But anyway, I interrupted your coaching, but I wanted to just call that out because I think that our listeners might step back and say, oh yeah, I do suffer through this.
Yeah, it took me courage to ask for help and to know that help is going to get me there faster. Because I know where I want to go to. I know where I want to run to. But with help, it's going to get me there faster. Mm-hmm. So that was the suffering part.
But that's also, I love it, and maybe you don't see it, but I can see it because it's so fun to be in the drone view, right? The bird's eye view. But that you saw the value of your first manager who was keen on you using your introvert roles, two, yourself, the epiphanies that you're having in yourself. Hey, if I just step out and do this part, I feel so fruitful when I'm part of these personnel discussions and the team, and now you're seeing there's value in coaching, right? Like, don't just wait. Don't wait for someone to, don't try to figure out yourself, have someone who can show you the path. That you have a value for coaching. That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. The coaching part is really about taking someone who's functioning. They are functioning. They realize that, okay, yeah, I'm introverted, but I'm functioning. But now I want to optimize.
Right.
Now I just don't want to get along in the extroverted world, as you said, because it is an extroverted business.
Yeah.
It definitely is. It's built for extroverts.
Yes.
But how do I function? How do I not try to masquerade as an extrovert?
Yes.
How do I discover these strengths that I have and then bring awareness to them and now work on expressing them, using them? It's kind of like, let's bring in the superpower, the superheroes here. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like there's one from the X-Men, Cyclops, who has he opens his eyes and he destroys everything he sees.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But the only thing you do is control it. He's like, but now you put the little visor on him, right? And now he can control his super. Mm-hmm. You can turn it on and off. You can turn it up, turn it low. So that's really what that awareness is going to bring you, and eliminating the limiting beliefs that you have about them. I'm too quiet. I spend too much time alone. People are always saying you're quiet in this meeting. You don't go out. You don't put yourself out there. I'm always going to be like that. That's who I am. That's
me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. But you can get a visor. And you can that, right? You can turn that on and off. Right. That's your power. Mm-hmm. So I've got a whole list of superpowers going on my website. There's 12 of them that I'm working on. Expanding on them, using examples out in the wild, successful, functioning extroverts. I'm interviewing them. Tell me how you use your introvert superpowers to get success. And I want to share that learning, put it out there so that introverts read and learn from that example. And yeah, I'm available for coaching for sure. I don't just coach introverts. I've coached extroverts, and I help them with their businesses and finding a better future for themselves.
Yeah, I think everybody can use sharpening of all those skills. So we're going to share those links to ForwardQuest Coaching in our show notes and how someone can get in touch with you if they'd like to have some coaching about either their extroverted needs or their introverted needs and, their business needs. And they can peruse your website and all the different superpowers. I'm just curious. I want to go read all 12 of them now. I don't want to spoil it for everyone. So we'll point them to where they can read about those superpowers and hopefully potentially that book down the future. But we are super glad that you could be a part of the podcast episode today, Jorge. Thank you for being here and for sharing your wealth of knowledge of how that introverted self of you is now, found a way to blossom in all of these different strengths that you bring to the table. Matt, I don't know if you want to make any last remarks, but
no, thank you so much. I really like the idea that we can all get our Cyclops visors on and dial it up or down, and but I love the fact that you just spoke from the heart and said that it's you though, right? It's up to you to be able to identify and do that. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
And thank you both for letting me wear my cape.
Absolutely.
It's the best. That name of your podcast, I love it. I love that. Wear your cape to work for sure. And I think that we're on the same wavelengths in terms of powering project management success, introvert success. We want to empower individuals in the same way. And this is how I see everyone through this heroic lens.
Right.
And let's partner together and move forward.
Yeah, we got to keep people wearing their capes each and every day. So inspire each other, everyone. Get out there, wear that cape to work. Thanks for being here.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today on the Wear Your Cape to Work podcast, hosted by Project Insight. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, or leave us a comment. If you subscribe to our YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or other favorite podcast channels, you'll receive notifications of all of our new episodes. We'd also love it if you would share Wear Your Cape to Work with your network of PMPs or anyone else who might enjoy the show. Project Insight is an online project and portfolio management software that helps companies connect project data from across all of their teams and software tools so that they can make confident decisions about their business. Our website is projectinsight.com, and there you can find many resources for project professionals, including free PDU webinars, as well as a place to register for a demonstration or a consultation with one of our success teams. Thank you once again for joining today's conversation, and most importantly, thanks for wearing your cape to work.